Hey, my YouTube family. Welcome back to Taylorsfiresmoke Cooking. I appreciate you all joining me today. Today, we're going to whip up a quick sheet pan steak and potatoes. Quick and easy recipe, and I think you'll enjoy it. All right, guys, so what we have here, we have about 1.5 pounds sirloin tip steaks. We use some granulated garlic. We're going to season everything with some Montreal steak seasoning. We have some onion powder, a little olive oil, and I have 1 small onion and a small green pepper here. And of course, we have our potatoes. So first things first, I've got my potatoes quartered mostly, but just cut into nice sized chunks. They've already been washed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my potatoes and I'm going to get a little olive oil, over all of my potatoes. I don't want them to stick to the sheet pan there. So I'm going to oil them up, and then it's also going to help with us seasoning up our potatoes. Now we're going to season the potatoes similarly to how we do the meat. We're going to use our Montreal steak seasoning. We're going to use our garlic, and we're going to use our onion powder on these as well. So just season them up nice and heavy. Season them how you want is basically. But we're going to go, nice with our onion and our garlic, and then fairly liberal with our Montreal steak seasoning. If you've never had Montreal steak seasoning, it's pretty much a classic. It's been around for years. It's really good. It's a go-to for a lot of people on their steaks, and it's good with veggies too, believe it or not. So also we're going to take about half of that onion and half of that bell pepper, and we're just going to get it all mixed in and incorporated with our potatoes really well. Going to add a nice flavor to our dish all together, but you want to get it all mixed in with your potatoes as well. So when you're serving, you'll have a little bite of pepper and onion in between there as well. So that's the first step. That's the first part of our potatoes. So what we're going to do, we're just going to sit these to the side, and we're going to go ahead and work on this steak real quickly. All right, so we've got our steak here, and I've got it all washed already, but I have not trimmed it yet. So what you want to do, you just want to get rid of some of the fat and some of the gristle. These sirloin tip steaks, they're good, but they're a little tougher than your average sirloin steak, and they do have some gristle on them. I've said in previous videos when I've used this, sirloin tip steak is generally what the steak they use in Chinese restaurants. So it's really good for stir fries and pepper steak and things of that nature. And it's not bad when you do it this way either. It's like I said, it's not quite as tender as your regular sirloin or a ribeye or strip, but when you cook it and you bake it off in the oven, it comes out pretty good. So I've got the gristly parts off. Some of the fat we want to keep on there because it is lean, but just get some of the nasty fat and your gristle out of there. And once you're done with that, just go ahead and season it heavily with your Montreal steak seasoning. All right, guys, so I've got everything all seasoned up. Now it's time to go ahead and get it on that sheet pan. So what we're going to do, all we want to do now, we just kind of want to make a couple little wells in our pan in order to get our steak down on the sheet pan. You don't want your steak sitting directly on top of the potatoes. It doesn't matter if they're kind of smashing up against it, or even some of them sitting on top. But you want that steak to make a good base or touch with the bottom of the pan. So just kind of make room, and then make sure that your steak is laying flat on the sheet pan. Now this is also something that you can make up ahead of time. That's what makes these sheet pan dinners or whatever so convenient. Like if you're going to church or whatever, or you have something you need to do, you can make it up the night before or early that morning, get it set up, wrap it up and put it in the freezer. That way to be ready to go, just ready to pop in the oven when you get home. So that's definitely one of the benefits of making these type of dishes. So also now, once we're going to do, we're just going to take the rest of our onion and green pepper, and we're just going to spread it over the rest of the top of our potatoes and our steak. Nothing but good flavor coming out of these onions and bell peppers. Now, if you don't like onion and bell pepper, you don't have to put it on there, but to me, it's a must. So that's what we have here, guys. That's our sheet pan steak and potatoes. Now, what we're going to do, I've got my oven preheated to 375 degrees. Just going to cover it up with some foil, and we're going to go in to that 375 degree oven for about 45 to 50 minutes. And this is how we've had it for 45 or 50. Once we get in there for 45 or 50, we're going to go back in and put it on the broiler for another 10. And this is our finished product. So once you bring it out, you're not going to have a brown, but once you put it back under the broiler, it's going to brown up those potatoes and put a little color on that steak. You can see our potatoes are nice and tender. They're not mushy, they're just right, fork tender. And our steak is definitely tender as well. Cuts like butter, nice and moist. Take a look at that. Really good. Now this is about doing this dish like this. That's about the only time you're ever going to see me eat a steak that's well done. But this particular type of steak, that's fine. But it's good and juicy, nice and tender. The potatoes are fire and the flavor is out of bounds. So guys, I highly recommend that you give this a try. Now, if you have a ribeye or something, you could do it as well, but I don't recommend using, higher end steaks for a dish like this. You use your cheaper steaks and it'll come out perfectly fine. So if you enjoyed the recipe, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out, hit the notification bell, and be on the lookout for our next videos. God bless.